Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. We've got excerpts from it here, and we're going to be talking about some of the ideas in it.
Some fascinating ideas.
About wealth creation and success.
Yeah.
You know, like turning thoughts into dollar bills.
Well, not quite dollar bills materializing out of thin air, but Hill did believe in the immense power of thought as the driving force behind success.
Right. Yeah. So, like, it's not just about working hard. It's about, like, having the right mindset right.
Absolutely. He spent years interviewing incredibly successful people, and he noticed a pattern. And it wasn't just about, luck or even hard work. Their beliefs and how they thought played a huge role. It's like they were programming themselves for success before they even started.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's like having a mental blueprint
Yeah.
for success.
Yeah.
But how do you actually create that blueprint? Like Hill talks about burning desire, faith, and a clear plan.
Oh, yeah. He does. He calls those the essential ingredients. Think about it this way. If you don't even truly desire something, how likely are you to put in the effort to get it?
Yeah, that makes sense. But then there's this whole other layer of, like, auto-suggestion. And Hill's basically saying we need to, like, brainwash ourselves with positive thoughts.
Well, maybe not brainwash, but the concept is that by repeatedly affirming your goals and desires, you're essentially imprinting them on your subconscious mind.
It's kind of like visualization, right?
Yeah.
Like picturing yourself.
Yeah,
Crossing the finish line or holding that award.
exactly. He was a big believer in visualization. He thought consistently seeing your desired outcome in your mind can actually influence your actions and eventually make it real.
So it's not just like wishful thinking.
Right.
It's like actively
Yeah,
shaping your thoughts
yeah,
to match your goals.
exactly.
I like that. So, but Hill also talks a lot about, like, specialized knowledge. So does he think that just anyone can become successful at anything just by, like, thinking about it?
That's where things get interesting. He doesn't downplay the importance of knowledge and skill. In fact, he dedicates a whole chapter to the importance of specialized knowledge in any field.
Right. So it's like
Yeah.
it's like a combination of, like, the mental game and actually, like, having the tools for the job.
Exactly. It's almost like you need both the desire and the blueprint.
Right.
But then Hill takes it a step further and talks about the subconscious mind's role in all of this.
Yeah. This is where it gets really interesting. So he's saying our subconscious is like this hidden processor
Yeah.
working behind the scenes to, like, help us achieve what we truly believe we can achieve.
Exactly. And he goes even deeper, suggesting there are 6 specific steps to turn desire into its physical equivalent,
Uh-huh.
almost like a recipe for success.
Okay, break it down for us. What's step 1?
First, you have to get crystal clear about what you want. Not just, I want to be rich, but I want to own a bakery that makes the best sourdough bread in the city.
Right.
Specific and measurable.
Okay. So crystal clear desire. What's next?
Hill says you have to determine what you're willing to give in return. Time, effort, maybe even giving up certain things you enjoy to make space for this new goal.
It's like an exchange.
Yeah.
Like you can't get something for nothing.
Yeah.
What's step 3?
This one's interesting. Hill says you need to set a specific date for achieving your desire. He believed creating a sense of urgency keeps you motivated and helps you measure your progress.
No more like someday dreams. You got to put a deadline on it.
Exactly.
Okay, then what?
Then you formulate a detailed plan of action, step by step, and you start working on it immediately.
No matter what, even if you don't feel totally ready.
Especially then, Hill believed that action often creates clarity and builds momentum.
Okay, so we've got the desire, the price we're willing to pay, the deadline, and the plan. What are the last 2 steps?
Next, you write down a clear, concise statement of everything we just discussed. Your desire, what you'll give in return, and your timeline.
Almost like a contract with yourself.
Exactly. And finally, the most important step. You read the statement out loud twice a day, morning and evening, really visualizing and feeling yourself, already in possession of what you desire.
This is where the auto-suggestion part really comes in, right?
Exactly.
Like you're programming your subconscious to
Yeah.
believe it's already happening.
Exactly. Hill was convinced this consistent reinforcement is what truly imprints the desire on your subconscious mind, helping you attract the resources and opportunities you need to make it happen.
You know, thinking about those steps makes me think about all the things that can, like, get in the way of success. And Hill talks a lot about fear, doesn't he?
He does. And in fact, he identifies 6 specific fears that hold people back. They're almost like invisible barriers on the path to achieving your goals.
That's fascinating. And that leads us to the next part of our deep dive. We get to get a closer look at those 6 fears and how to overcome them.
Yeah, those 6 fears, they're almost like archetypes, you know? Hill believed that they're kind of universal, affecting people across all walks of life.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, I'm ready to face these fears head on. Give them to me. What's the first one?
The first one is pretty basic. It's the fear of poverty. Hill saw it as like a scarcity mindset, you know, this feeling that there's never enough, which can make people really risk averse.
Right, it's like that constant worry about money, like that feeling that you're one paycheck away from disaster.
Exactly. And then there's the fear of criticism. This one can be a real creativity killer.
Oh, I know that one. That's like when you're so worried about what other people think that you just like hold yourself back, you don't speak up, you don't share your ideas, and you definitely don't take any big risks.
Right, you're playing it safe all the time, and that can really stifle your growth.
Yeah, for sure.
The third fear Hill talks about is the fear of ill health.
This one makes sense. If you're constantly worried about getting sick, it's hard to like focus on anything else.
Yeah, and it can prevent you from enjoying life to the fullest. You know, you're so busy trying to avoid illness that you miss out on experiences.
Right.
Next up is the fear of loss of love.
Heartbreak. This one's a tough one.
It really is. It can stem from a fear of rejection or abandonment.
Yeah.
You know, it can make people cling too tightly to relationships or avoid them altogether.
Yeah, fear can really mess with your relationships, can't it? You can end up like pushing people away or becoming too dependent.
Definitely.
So what's the 5th fear?
The fear of old age. This one's all about the anxiety around decline and a loss of vitality.
It's like you're dreading getting older, worried about what you're going to lose, like fearing the future instead of embracing it.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
And then finally, there's the big one, the fear of death. This can lead to a real sense of existential dread.
Right, this one's about the unknown. What happens after we die? It can be so overwhelming that it prevents us from living fully right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hill's point is that understanding these fears is the first step to overcoming them. He believed that most fears are rooted in our imaginations, not reality.
So it's about challenging those negative thoughts and not letting them control us. Makes sense. But how do we actually do that? Does Hill give us any, like, practical tips?
He does. He suggests that by consciously acknowledging our fears, naming them, and understanding where they come from, we can start to loosen their grip on us. He was a big believer in using the power of thought to replace those fears with more empowering beliefs.
So it's like using that mental blueprint we talked about earlier, but this time we're using it to, like, rewrite our fear narratives.
Precisely. And he also believed in the power of action to combat fear. He said that the more we do the things that scare us, the less power those fears have over us.
Like exposure therapy, right? Like you gradually expose yourself to the thing you're afraid of.
Yeah.
And eventually the fear starts to diminish.
Exactly. But Hill goes even deeper into the mind, right?
Yeah.
He talks a lot about the subconscious. Remember we were talking about the subconscious as this hidden processor. Well, Hill believed that we can actually influence our subconscious mind through a technique called autosuggestion.
Right, we touched on this earlier, but I'm ready to go deeper. Tell me more about this autosuggestion thing.
So autosuggestion is basically about consciously feeding your mind positive affirmations related to your goals and desires. The idea is that if you repeat these affirmations enough, they'll eventually sink into your subconscious and start to influence your beliefs and actions.
So it's like reprogramming your mind for success. But, like, does it really work? Can just saying something over and over actually change your beliefs?
Hill is convinced it does. And there's actually quite a bit of modern research that backs up the idea that positive self-talk can have a real impact on our behavior and even our physiology.
Wow, that's fascinating. So what's an example of a good affirmation?
Let's say you're trying to overcome that fear of criticism we talked about earlier. You could repeat something like, I'm confident and capable, and I'm not afraid to share my ideas with the world.
And you'd say this out loud to yourself.
Ideally, yeah. Hill believed that saying affirmations out loud makes them more powerful. He also suggests writing them down and placing them in spots where you'll see them throughout the day.
So it's like surrounding yourself with positive messages. But Hill doesn't just focus on the mental game, right? He also talks about the importance of taking action.
Absolutely. He was very clear that thought without action is useless. He often used the analogy of a car. You can have the most powerful engine in the world, but if you don't put gas in the tank and turn the key, you're not going anywhere.
So it's about having both the vision and the fuel to make it happen.
Exactly.
I like that.
He believed that action often creates clarity and builds momentum. He also emphasized the importance of persistence and resilience.
You know, thinking about persistence, Makes me wonder about the role of intuition in all of this. Does Hill think there's a place for, like, gut feelings in achieving success?
He does. In fact, he dedicates a whole chapter to the sixth sense, which he believed could guide us towards the right decisions and actions.
So it's not just about logic and planning, but also about listening to that inner voice.
Right. Hill saw intuition as a form of subconscious knowledge. That can provide us with insights we might not be able to logically explain.
Okay, but how do you tell the difference between a genuine intuition and just like wishful thinking?
That's the tricky part. Hill suggests paying attention to those subtle nudges and feelings that come from within, even if they don't make logical sense at first. He also believed that intuition could be cultivated through practice and by paying attention to our dreams.
So it's like training yourself to be more aware of those subconscious whispers. That's fascinating.
It is. And, Hill didn't just focus on individual success. He also talked about the importance of collaborating with others.
Well, this reminds me of something I read about mastermind groups. What are those all about?
Mastermind groups are essentially teams of like-minded individuals who come together to support each other's goals and aspirations.
So it's like having a built-in support system. People who understand your vision and can help you stay accountable.
Exactly. Hill believed that by combining the knowledge, skills, and resources of a group, you could amplify your chances of success and overcome obstacles more effectively.
I can see how that would be incredibly valuable, especially when you're facing those inevitable setbacks and challenges. On the path to success. Speaking of challenges, Hill also talks about the importance of learning from our failures, right?
He does. He believed that failure is not the opposite of success, but rather a stepping stone on the path to it. He saw setbacks as valuable lessons and opportunities for growth.
It's like that saying, we learn more from our failures than from our successes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hill believed that by reframing our perspective on failure, we could transform it from a source of discouragement into a valuable teacher.
So instead of beating ourselves up when we make mistakes, we should be analyzing what went wrong and figuring out how to do better next time.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
And Hill also emphasized the importance of service to others as a key principle for success.
This is something that really resonates with me. I believe that by helping others, we ultimately help ourselves.
Hill believed that contributing to the well-being of others creates a more fulfilling and meaningful life. It's about recognizing that true success goes beyond personal gain.
Right. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
But there's one topic we haven't touched on yet. Sex transmutation. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on
Yeah, it's one of the most controversial parts of the book, isn't it?
this. Definitely.
Like, how does this whole idea of channeling sexual energy into creative pursuits fit into, like, Hill's overall philosophy of success?
It's definitely a concept that requires some careful consideration. Remember Hill was writing in a different time, and societal norms around sexuality were quite different. But I think there's a way to interpret this concept that's relevant to us today.
Okay, I'm all ears. How do you make sense of it?
Instead of taking it literally, I see it as a metaphor for channeling intense passion and drive into our work. Think about it. Sexual desire is a powerful force.
Yeah, it can motivate us to do extraordinary things.
Right, so it's not about like suppressing sexual energy,
Right.
but more about like tapping into that same level of passion and drive.
And directing it towards, like, your goals.
Exactly. Hill believed that this kind of intense energy, when channeled effectively, could be a powerful catalyst for achievement. He saw it as a way to fuel creativity, innovation, and a relentless pursuit of our dreams,
That makes a lot more sense. In a modern context, it's like taking that raw energy.
and transforming it into something productive.
Exactly.
So it also ties into another key theme in the book, right? Which is this idea of cultivating a positive mental attitude. We've talked about like the power of thought, but this goes beyond just like positive thinking, right? What does Hill actually mean by like a positive mental attitude?
He saw it as a way of life, a way of approaching every situation with optimism, enthusiasm, and a belief in our ability to overcome challenges. It's about choosing to see the good in ourselves and in the world around us, even when things get tough.
So it's like having a filter.
Yeah.
That highlights the positive.
Yeah. And minimizes the negative. But it doesn't mean like ignoring problems or pretending that everything's perfect.
Exactly. Hill was clear that a positive mental attitude doesn't mean burying your head in the sand. It's about facing challenges head on, but with a belief that you can find solutions and come out stronger on the other side.
So it's about resilience.
Yeah.
And that like never give up attitude that we've talked about.
Right.
But Hill also believed that a positive mental attitude can actually like attract positive experiences into our lives.
He
And
did.
this reminds me of the law of attraction, the idea that like attracts like
Exactly. Hill was a big believer in the power of our thoughts to shape our reality.
yeah.
He believed that by focusing on the positive, we could attract more abundance, joy, and success into our lives.
Like we become magnets for the things that we focus on. But
Yeah.
it's not just about wishful thinking though, right?
Right.
There's still a need for action. Absolutely. Hill was very clear that a positive mental attitude is not a substitute for hard work, planning, and taking action. He saw it as the foundation upon which success is built, the fuel that keeps us going when things get tough.
So it's like having the right mindset sets the stage,
Yeah,
but it's our actions that ultimately determine the outcome.
exactly.
You know, Hill's ideas continue to resonate today because they tap into something fundamental about human nature, right?
Absolutely.
Our desire to create a better life for ourselves
Yeah.
and to leave a positive mark on the world.
It's so true.
Yeah.
He reminds us that we all have the potential for greatness, but it's up to us to cultivate that potential and to use it for good.
And he gives us like a roadmap, right? A set of principles
Yeah.
that, if applied consistently,
Yeah.
can help us achieve our goals and live a more fulfilling life.
He really does.
It's incredible how Think and Grow Rich covers so much ground. It's not just a guide to financial success,
Yeah.
but it's also a roadmap to living like a more purposeful and fulfilling life.
Exactly. It's a testament to Hill's dedication to understanding the principles of success in all its facets.
Yeah, he didn't just focus on like the material aspects,
Yeah.
but also delved into the psychological and spiritual dimensions of achievement.
And that's what makes this book so timeless, you know? Its principles are as relevant today as they were when it was first published.
Yeah, it's a reminder that success is not a destination, but a journey of continuous growth and self-discovery.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
And by embracing the principles outlined in Think and Grow Rich, we can unlock our full potential and create a life filled with purpose, meaning, and abundance.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Think and Grow Rich, what's the one message you want our listeners to take away?
The power of your mind is limitless. Believe in yourself, cultivate a positive mindset, and never give up on your dreams.
We've only scratched the surface of this fascinating text. What will you achieve when you truly believe in your power to think and grow rich?